Lately, my brain keeps circling back to the experience of the other side. The MAGA folks who may not even realize how far they've been led into self-destructive choices. Because it didn't happen all at once. It happened slowly, systematically. The way I see it, the architects behind MAGA harnessed science and turned it against the public. Without the science of psychology and human perception, they would be nowhere. After all, they used tested persuasion techniques scaled up with billionaire funding and amplified by foreign adversaries. They launched a full-blown psychological assault. They hit people with a level and frequency of stimulus that folks with trauma histories, poor education, or limited access to critical information had no defenses against. They used relentless repetition, stoked existential fear, invented a boogeyman, and shaped a false narrative of injustice and urgency. And once they got the momentum going, the machinery of cult psychology kept it rolling. The billionaire bad actors built a giant vacuum cleaner that sucked people into their media vortex, made pretty with bright colors and mean blondes with long legs. Disney for Delulu living. MAGA became an ecosystem entirely insulated from truth, and if you want, you can live there indefinitely, down in the underbelly of the worst amalgamation of men, the most evil-intentioned cabal, all working toward the same goal. Manufacture a crisis, offer a savior, seize control. All of us were there for the MAGA rollout, and we've been here for every sordid chapter of its lifespan. But I don't think I fully understood what it meant to be afraid until now. Because I think the people on the far right were afraid from the very beginning. I think that was the point. Back in 2015, when Orangina stood at the podium and said they're not sending their best, something shifted. The migrant caravan myth, the panic over borders and brown people, was the launch of a fear campaign. And it worked. Because a lot of these folks were already primed for it. They didn't know any better. And they loved him because The Apprentice did such an effective job editing the monster into the illusion of success. He told them they were under attack. Then he told them how to vote. Then he told them they were safe. And Dems were going to pay. MAGA believed him. Because they were unequipped to see the lie. They didn't know the playbook. They didn't see the grift. But I did. I saw it. I called it. I knew what he was from the beginning. And now I'm afraid too. Not metaphorically. I mean viscerally. I mean lying in bed, what if they detain me at the airport afraid? I mean, what if my data is used against me afraid? What if I'm punished for speaking afraid? It's making me less sharp, less joyful, more reactive, more brittle. It's stealing my focus. And it's all still coming from the same guy. The same guy who frightened his followers into obedience is now frightening the people he framed as the enemy into paralysis. That's the full arc of the con. Americans aren't used to fearing for their lives. I certainly wasn't. I'd never truly imagined what it would feel like to be interrogated at a border checkpoint, or to be censored, or surveilled, or disappeared. But I think about it now, regularly. So yeah, cool. I feel a flicker of understanding with MAGA. The same primal fear that Orangina's handlers exploited in them is now in me. Fear is the mind killer. So on some level, I get it. But then what? The media machine is still humming. The disinformation vacuum is still running. And I don't think the Epstein files will be enough to bridge the gap between us. Sure, I can see how good people got manipulated by evil, and 1,000 cuts later, they don't even feel them anymore. But that's the problem. They don't even feel the cuts anymore. They're deeply invested in not feeling them. Because to feel them now would mean facing the damage and recognizing their complicity. So what do I say? Hey, I forgive you for being unable to defend your psyche against an engineered attack. Hey, is there a part of you that can consider that Epstein was just one thread in a much bigger web of lies? Hey, is there any part of you that can perceive me as a liberal not to be the enemy? Because what you think is true about me was designed to terrify you. And what I think about you is based on all the things you've endorsed through Trump. But I think some of that was your fear talking. Well, mine's talking now. And I'm asking, can you hear me? Are you willing to try to understand me? I'd sure like to say that. I'd sure like to think we've not been wrestled so far apart by the architects of America's unraveling that we'll never be able to see ourselves in each other again. I'd like to say that too. But I don't think it would go over very well. Maybe it's easier to stay afraid.